Hello YouTube, welcome to another video on my Reliant Scimitar. In today's video I am going to be changing the hydraulic handbrake cylinder so that it works again and so that it stops binding up the rear brakes. That is the last job that I can think of to make the car reliable again. It is the best it's ever been, so I can't wait to get this last little bit fixed. Then it's going to have another MOT, and then I've got a stag do to go to in the car, which is a nice little tour around Wales. So let's get this cylinder changed. So this is the new cylinder. Wilwood. They're quite expensive, sort of 40 quid when it's been delivered, about the cheapest way you can get it. But I wanted the proper thing. It's a genuine Wilwood jobby again. And you can see that this is the hydraulic handbrake. Here's the lever. I used a it's a Scimitar handbrake still, but the button's glued in on this one, and it actions like that. Now you can see there's the cylinder in the back, so I could just change it, but I've had a nightmare with this in the past, and bleeding it is a real pain in the bum. So I believe these cylinders are not meant to be angled downhill. I think they're meant to be angled uphill, and I think it will bleed a lot more easily if I do that. So I'm going to take it off and rearrange it so that it bolts onto the car in a different angle, and it should then hopefully bleed the brakes much more easily to the rear. While I'm at it, I'm also going to remove this, which is a brake bias valve. It's actually a Summit Racing one. It was quite a decent one, but it turns out I don't need it. I did a lot of calculations on the brakes in this car, making sure the front rear balance was just spot on for the weight balance of the car, and I've never needed that brake bias valve. So the fronts lock up just before the rears, which is really ideal. So I'm getting rid of that as well, simplifying it down that little bit. And then I'll remake a single hose from the cylinder, from the master cylinder, just to follow the same line, and then it'll come straight up into here, rather than this two-piece arrangement with the bias valve in there. So I have taken the seat out, as you can see. Driver's seat is gone, and I have been under the transmission tunnel and unbolted this component. So just got to undo that, and then this will come off. I'm of course being very stupid. It all comes off as one unit. That pipe just goes to the brake bias valve. So here we go, removing the hydraulic handbrake. There we go. What a mess behind there, my god, that is a mess. So the two mounting bolts, one of those has got to move in order to get this thing to face uphill like that, basically. Then it will bleed more easily. Yeah, that's the job. Okay, I've had a little mess around with it now. That's the bracket. The cylinder's gone, the bias valve's gone. The brake hose is pretty well in the bulkhead, and it's nice and sealed up in there, so I'm going to leave it. I found this bit here, male-female connector I can use, so I will have another short length of hose. It's a bit messy, but it's fine. I've removed that bolt, which was welded through the hole in there. So I think I'm going to lower the front rather than raise the back, because that will interfere with the seat belt here, the buckle, the least amount. So it was like that, and I'm going to make it like that. Which means ignoring that hole, or not using that hole, sorry, and re-drilling up here. So these two holes go through a bracket which holds this handbrake on, so they need to be accurately measured so that this hole is the same distance from that one, just further up. Otherwise it won't go through there. I realise now I left this hole because there is a pivoting bolt, here it is, that goes through there, and that holds that's the pivot for the actual handbrake lever. So I left that there so that it could be, I left that hole in there so it could be pulled through into the transmission tunnel, and you can remove the handle without having to remove this whole mechanism. So I will do that. When I lower it, I'm going to have to re-drill the hole here, so I'm going to put a small section of foam between this and that, just to seal all this up for fumes, engine fumes, blow-by gas, you know, getting into the cabin of the car. I've made a little bit of effort to seal a few different bits around the door here and through the transmission tunnel up in the bulkhead, so I'm going to keep that going. So next thing is to drill the new hole, mount this thing in, offer this thing up, and then the last sort of cutty weldy job will be to change the hydraulic handbrake lever, so cut and shut here to bring the lever back into the position it was before, if that makes sense. So there we go. So the last thing I can do is just try this back in here, that's the old cylinder there, and just see that actually it isn't drastic moving it up like that. It will be close to the buckle, but when your seatbelt is on, the buckle is pulled up anyway. So that should be okay. Yeah, so there we go, more work. I've now drilled the hole, put the bolt in and welded it in place and put the handbrake in. And as you can see, I found the lever's a lot lower than it used to be. So I was about to cut and shut that, but then I thought, do you know what, it's actually in a really good place. So I put the seat in to try it, and yeah, it works perfectly. It's out of the way, and you can still quite easily reach it. So bonza, it's better than it was, and I don't have to do any work. Adapting the lever, perfect. So now I'm going to bolt it in and make the hoses and try and bleed the thing, and then she's done. So the connecting piece is made. I haven't tightened it up yet, and those bits are ready to go. So it's time to swap it and fit it. Let's get the new one on. That's it, it's in. The nuts and bolts of it are all done. They're all tightened, and now it's time to bleed it. The handbrake I'm really pleased with. There's still plenty of room around there before you get to the dash with your hand. So there we go. No bias valve, a new cylinder, and a better angle, hopefully, for bleeding the brakes. So the proof is in the bleeding the brakes now. That'll be the next thing. I might do it with the seat out in case I'm loosening any of these joints and trying to catch the fluid of the rag or something, but that's next. Nearly done. There we go, folks. The seat is back in. The new cylinder's in place. It's nicely out of the way of the seat belt mechanism. And the handbrake is nice and neatly tucked away as well. It's bled nicely, there's not too much slack in it. Handbrake now works. She's good to go. That's all for today, folks. That's the little update on the Scimitar. That was all of the jobs I wanted to get done now really. The car is, in terms of driving it, it's absolutely spot on now. Mechanically it's superb. Needs a clean and an MOT, and I can go on this stag do road trip thing. And then I think I've said it a few times, it'll probably sit idle after that for a fairly long time now. Lots of things I want to do on the car. You can see those opposite there. There's a strap which holds the window up, and this strap opens the, where is it? This strap opens the door. I don't like that. I've got to change it, so I'm trying to get hold of some new doors for the car. And the back lights, I'd like to switch those to LED. I'd like to respray the car, and I think that's kind of it really. I do have an independent rear suspension, a Jaguar, like I think it's an S-type independent rear suspension, which I would like to put on the car, but that's a major project. So if I get bored and run out of things to do, then I do have that, but that's not happening anytime soon really. So yeah, that's the Scimitar done. Those, like I said, the doors, the lights and the respray, they're not for now, they're for several years from now really. So the Scimitar is, yeah, she's done. Thanks for joining me on this little video. Tune in again for more updates.